Welcome everybody, and today we're taking a look at another Imprint collection release, and it is number 601 in their collection, and it is 1975's Framed. So yeah, this is directed by Phil Karlson, and I've seen 11 other films from him. The favourites would be the likes of Kansas City Confidential, 99 River Street, The Brothers Rico, Scandal Sheet, and The Wrecking Crew. All but the last of those being, well in the film noir genre. But nonetheless, this is a neo-noir crime film, clocking in at 106 minutes along, and stars the likes of Joe Don Baker, who did work with Phil Karlson on the previous film that Karlson did, Walking Tall, but I've not seen that one yet, so I can't really talk about it. But Joe Don Baker was also in The Living Daylights, Goldeneye, and Tomorrow Never Dies, being one of the few actors in in the James Bond series to go from being a villain as a character to being an ally. And yeah, he was also in the likes of Charlie Varick and Congo. And if you want another James Bond connection to this film or Phil Karlson or whatever, then Phil Karlson was actually the first choice for the director of Doctor No, but apparently he asked for too high of a fee and the producers declined him. So yeah, would have been really interesting to have seen what his version of that film would have been like, but nonetheless he did not, which was unfortunate. Also stars Gabriel Dell, who was one of the original Dead End kids, because he was in the film Dead End, and I think they went on to several other films after that. But he was also in Angels with Dirty Faces and Earthquake. And finally got like Sir John Marley, who was in Dead of Night, Motherlode, but probably most famously The Godfather, as the guy that gets the horse's head in his bed. So when gambler Ron Lewis is falsely accused of murder, he's confronted by a violent deputy sheriff and ends up killing the lawman in self-defense. Railroaded by corrupt cops and scheming lawyers, Ron is ultimately put behind bars. When he eventually emerges, he embarks on a revenge tour of torment and torture against the people who wronged him. So this was actually the final film that director Phil Karlson will do. And although it isn't quite my favourite film of his that I've now seen, it is hardly a film that concludes his decades-long career on a low. This is thanks to the good lead performance from Joe Don Baker, a solid supporting cast, an overall engrossing plot, a decent score, plenty of impactful violence, some effective tension, and the pacing is on point. Best of all, though, is the stunt between a train and a car that is not only highly impressive, but it also looks so dangerous. I'm not even sure the stuntman got out of it unscathed, and maybe not even alive, given not only the massive explosion that is part of the stunt, which completely envelops him, the car, part of the front of the train, but also because of how close the car actually comes to hitting him. You see his leg actually getting within an inch or two of the car itself, and if his leg actually got caught in the car, he would have been dragged by the train and more than likely killed as a result of that. But yeah, it's nonetheless a massively impressive stunt, and so impressive that I actually rewound the film 3 or 4 times because I could not believe what I was actually seeing. It's easily one of my favourite stunts that have ever been done, and particularly from the decade of the 1970s, which was, hardly bereft of such impressive stunts. But yeah, none that I can remember from that decade come close to the level of danger that results in that, because it would have only taken 2 3 seconds, maybe even less than that, for him to have been delayed, and he would have been in the car with the train plowing into it and then the explosion happening as well. So yeah, so close to actually being a fatal stunt on screen. I'm only speculating on whether or not he actually survived or not because it looks so dangerous. But nonetheless, the film gets a 4 out of 5. Really, really enjoyable crime film. Brutal in terms of its violence at some parts, especially with the deputy sheriff fight scene towards the beginning, which really does look quite painful. And yeah, there's a couple of moments of other violence as well. But yeah, it's that train and car stunt that is most impressive of all. So there is the disc itself, and the original artwork on the case itself. And the film is in 1080p, 178 to 1 aspect ratio, LPCM 2.0 mono audio, English language soundtrack with English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. You've also got an audio commentary on the film by author and film writer Will Sloan from 2026. Then you got Legacy of Brutality, interview with writer and film critic Nick Pinkerton on director Phil Karlson and actor Joe Don Baker from 2026. And then a theatrical trailer as well, which I imagine they used that stunt in the trailer, I imagine, because it's usually the highlight of the film, and definitely the part of the film that will stick with me long after seeing it. So, yeah, but nonetheless, a really rather solid effort. Like I said, not my favourite Phil Karlson film. You know, the likes of Kansas City Confidential, 99 River Street, and The Brothers Rico, I'd say, are better as films. But as a piece of entertainment, as a piece of, exhilarating, action, this certainly has it going for it. And yeah, it's well worth seeing as a result of that. So, yeah, but nonetheless, if you have seen Framed before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.